Those that are still here, down there on the screen, you will be able to see where it's written more. On the more, where there are the three dots, just click on them and you'll see a number of options. And one of the options is breakout rooms, and you'll be able to join. If you're not able to, kindly alert me. I can move you to a group of your choice.
Crispin, I'm not able to join. I don't know what's happening.
Okay, yours is the one for legislative.
Yes.
Okay, I'm putting you there right now.
I clicked and it didn't move there. I don't know what happened.
I'm moving you there right now. You're gone.
Okay.
Yes, Lorna, go ahead.
How are you?
Good.
Good. Can you please add me as well? I'm looking for those three buttons. I can't see them on my screen.
Okay, which room do you want to go to?
You can select any for me randomly.
Okay, I've put you on affordable care. Any other person who's stuck in here? Judith? Any other person? Yes, go on.
Sophia, I'm also stuck. You can put me in any group.
Okay, Sophia, I'm putting you to key ingredients to women's legal rights in Kenya.
Okay,
Any other?
Hi, Crispin. This is Pooja from Busara. I'm dealing with the same issue. Could you assign me to any of the rooms?
Okay, done.
Hi, Chris. Could you kindly move me to affordable care?
Okay, Henry, right
from
away.
APRC.
There, I've already put you there. Now we're back. Judith, Janet, Tom, Sophie, which other room do you want to go to? Olena, which room? Yes, Tom.
I am on this rating.
Okay.
I'm saying I'm because I'm in the exam, so I can only listen.
Okay, no problem. Let me then
Thank you
to a room where you can listen.
Okay, thank you.
Consolata, which room do you want to belong to? We have two rooms. One discussing issues of childcare services, another one talking about women's legal rights in Kenya. Consolata, you want to join a room? Welcome back, and I think we are going to have more time. At least we finished in whereby we can be able to discuss that, which of course the outcome of our discussions. And to start us off once again, I've pasted the link, the Jamboard link in your chat boxes. Kindly open it. As you open it, let me share my screen one more time. This is what you see when you open the link that I've just shared. There is the part of group discussions. Of course, the first group being the key ingredients to women's legal rights in Kenya, and also the one discussing available, affordable, and quality childcare services. Now, on my screen, as you see up here on the top, that's the middle part of the frame, there is where there is an arrow pointing next. So there you click. If you click like I've done on my part, you'll see the first question. What was your biggest takeaway from the session that you've just had? So on the left side of your screen, if you're using a laptop, you'll see a stick note here where I've just, where I'm pointing my cursor, if you can see it. There you'll be able to click it and type in what is your biggest takeaway. Then you click save. It will just appear automatically. Then we'll be able to sample those comments as we move on. Now that is for all of us. But now specifically for those that are in the childcare session, thank you so much. Someone is already answering there that are how to ensure unpaid domestic work of women in laws and good practices worldwide. Kindly pick on that, the team that was handling that session. This page or this slide is purely for childcare session. Then that is slide number 7. For the key ingredients to women's legal rights session, you click next. There I'm seeing already people filled in. Thank you so much. Then the next one on that is 9 is if you had suggestions on the next steps, what would you indicate there? And of course, lastly, the topics that you would want to see more in the future events. I see someone was already in there and written childcare research. So if we can go back again and start. There we are. So at this point in time, I would wish, even as you place in your sticky notes, if you have something to say, especially if we can start with the moderators, you can have like 2 minutes to share the outcomes or at least those key takeaways from the session you've just held. Maybe we can start with the first one on women's legal rights.
Yes,
Thank you for sharing your sticky notes. Go on, Emilia.
I want to acknowledge Dr. Joyce Mutinda, from the chairperson of the National Gender and Equality Commission. And she highlighted the Kenya's Employment Amendment Act of 2021, which has been enacted. And there have been other conversations that are happening on around other laws and regulations that we discussed, specifically the Sexual Offences Act. So we had a conversation about progress on laws and regulations still ongoing. I mean, even once a law is in place, more is done to ensure enforcement. And of course, institutions like the National Gender and Equality Commission have a very important role to play there. We discussed this. We also discussed the importance of implementation of laws more in general, and what can we do to build more evidence around that? Can or would it be possible to collect data on the effectiveness of implementation of laws and regulations, and whether women are actually able to enjoy their rights by asking women directly and interviewing women? That could be one way, but also looking at enforcement sanctions around laws. There was a lot of activity in the chat and a lot of links shared also on financial inclusion and the importance of ensuring that we measure barriers to financial inclusion. So more on this on our end to review all of the links that were shared.
Okay. Thank you so much. Any participant in that room as well who would want to share some of the biggest takeaways from the session? Any participant, just unmute yourself or raise your hand. We'll be able to see you. Any participant, let's engage. Maybe Dr. Joyce, if you're in a place you can unmute, any thoughts you would wish to share so far out of the presentations that have been made and the session that you attended?
Yes, I just want to update, and I've put that on the chat, that I have since been informed reliably that we already have our Amendment Act that was ascended to by His Excellency the President on 4th April 2022. So the act does exist and we can refer to that. My biggest takeaway has to do with what Kenya has not ratified in terms of ILO. And that is an area that my commission is going to look into so that we can have women enjoying their maternity leave as they should, as per what is expected. Because our constitution does give us a leeway to do the very best in chapter 4 for the rights of everyone in this country. So we shall be looking forward to making sure the ILO conventions that have not been ratified are followed up and ratified. Thank you.
I thank you so much, Dr. And I think that makes a lot of sense, especially the so common ILO 190, which we keep talking about, but Kenya is yet really to ratify it. Thank you so much. Dr. Fanis, any thoughts? I can see there you're already talking about the measurability and from these indicators. Any thoughts? You can unmute and speak up. Okay, as they are still warming up, let's go to the other room, childcare. The moderator for that session to give us some key highlights, as members also, the participants as well, be ready to share their thoughts.
Hi, Crispin. Hi, sorry, before you go to the other group, I'm sorry, I was trying to come in. Do you have a minute, Crispin? This is Banu.
Yeah, please go on, Banu.
Yeah, okay, so I wasn't in the group that just you spoke about. I was in the child care group, but my comment is about just the speaker a few minutes ago talking about ILO conventions. And I think one very, very important and not yet fully people are not very much aware about this particular convention is the ILO C190. The one on workplace sexual harassment. This is extremely critical. Very few countries in the world have ratified this convention, and it talks about how you can make the workplace more safe. And this is indirectly linked to women's economic empowerment, women's labor force participation, because sexual harassment at the workplace is a big, big elephant in the room. And if we don't tackle it, then we will be still talking about low participation of women or full participation of women in the formal sector, also in the informal sector. In Kenya, you know what happened just a few months ago, which was so horrific. And let me just raise it once again. The lady driver who was driving on her way to work, harassed by motorcyclists, and how that must have caused her trauma because she was on her way or on her way or back from work. So issues of sexual harassment cannot be ignored. And just let me stop there because this ILO C190 is something that we can all really deep digger into and advocate for its ratification by our respective governments. So I'll stop there and I'll come in when my group is talking. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Banu, even for raising or at least voicing that. I'm sure Dr. Michael has just heard it, and we definitely are concerned that it's taking long before it's ratified. It's time that it does. I mean, the government acted on it. Thank you so much. Let's go to the second group. Eric?
For the second group, we'll have Eva and Banu to share some very nice thoughts they had here. Banu, you want to start?
Oh, I just spoke, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
All right, so what did you want me to contribute? All right, in our group, we were talking about. childcare.
Your second group,
And
yes.
yeah, okay, my second group. And my point or my contribution was about the whole issue of time poverty and how, I mean, women generally across the globe, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa, are poorer than men when we talk about poverty. But there is another dimension of poverty, and that is the time poverty. And of course, one of the contributing issues is childcare, elderly care, and care for the sick, especially now in the context of COVID-19. So then how do we address this if we want to increase their labor force participation and economic empowerment? So I think I was referring to my suggestion was, what are some of the companies, corporate sector, or what is the role of the private sector in contributing to or enhancing women's participation in the workforce? And one company that came to my mind was, of course, our own Safaricom here, that has for many years offered a crash, a baby crash at the workplace, and how, if anyone has done deep research on how that has contributed to the increased or enhanced labor force participation or workforce participation within Safaricom, and how we can use those good examples to encourage others to follow suit. But Crispin, if you may allow me, I think Eva made a very, very fantastic contribution, and she said baby crashes are good, but they're not enough. And basically, I think one thing that she mentioned, and I completely, totally agree, is about our transport system, the transport sector. How safe is it? How safe is it to encourage women to use public transport on their way to and fro work? And what can we do more in that area to really look into these four issues? So anyway, Eva can talk more about that. But for me, I think that was a fantastic contribution.
Bano, I spoke about my new experience as a new mother, and my workplace, yes, has a crash, but the transport system is not built in a way that it facilitates transportation for women with especially small children, the public transport system. So it's only mothers who have the privilege of owning cars that can get to work easily with their children. But those who depend on the public transport system may not be available at the workplace if something is not done. And that means that we should go beyond the hardware aspects of crash and start looking at the software. What is this that is needed to make them usable beyond just being available? Then the other bit I spoke about is that in issues of unpaid care work in this country are not very explicit. You can go out and do your research, but if you do not understand how government intertwines or connects them with other aspects of development, you may come out saying that the government has not done much. And I gave an example of what we did in Kajiado County when I worked in the office of the governor. We put street lights and market lights. And from a development perspective, this was just to provide security and promote trade. But when you look at it, it was also to ensure that women are able to go to the market and sell, because women sell their wares late in the evening when the kids come from school and take over the aspect of unpaid care work at home. So women are able to now be available at the marketplace and sell up to their time. They are able to go back home. And this was a redistributive approach to unpaid care work. It is not something I would prescribe, because it means women work longer, but that was something that we can highlight. Then the other aspect I gave was the last mile water connectivity that the government is looking into. And it means that then women are not able to walk longer distance looking for water, and they probably are available to even take children to clinic, those that may be at home due to unpaid, paid leave or something. So if you go in government and you want to look at issues on unpaid care, and you go probably to the gender department on GEC, you may not get this. You may need to talk to the people in the Ministry of Water, talk to the people in the at Kenya Power to understand what what lighting means, and also just look for experts to be able to help you to get this out for yourself. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Eric, would you wish to make a conclusion from your team? Even so, I see in the chat box, I think the teams that were leading or making presentations, Isabel, Emilia, Fred, and Kate. I think it's this time you can use it to, as you scroll through the stick notes and see whether there are areas you would wish to speak to, and also any questions within the chat box that you would want to answer. So maybe we can start with Fred, any key areas that you would think, you would want us to learn more?
Thank you, Crispin. Sorry, my throat is not behaving well. No, I don't want to add anything, but I really want to just appreciate the information that came from Dr. Joyce Motinda, and the fact that some of the issues that we raised were issues of concern and gaps are now being breached, that like the Employment Act, Amendment Act of 2022, we were just signed last month. We'll need to look at some of the changes that have come. And but maybe the only thing that I would raise as my concern as we're making these presentations and people are talking, something came to my mind, like when, for example, the courts declare that housewife can now be a full-time payable job, who's gonna pay for it? Or are we saying that this now can only apply when there are some cases of divorce and the people are talking about the matrimonial property, and therefore they can say, look, I worked when you are doing your work and making income, I was also taking care of our babies. I was also washing the house, the sufurias and what have you. So how is this going to happen, particularly in countries where the paid leave even is not being done by the government for the private sector? What about now the housework, the care work, so to speak? Thank you. That's just my comment, and the question that are coming to my mind. And yeah, thank you. I don't want to echo what Mbano has said and the information that is coming from there. And I really like this aspect of making sure that the rooms that are available for breastfeeding mothers are not just there, but also usable. It's not just a room. It has to have even a place where maybe the children can come with the mothers, and or even with the father to remain in the room taking care of the baby as the mom is working. And why not? Yeah, thank you.
You're right. Thank you so much for that. It's only that we don't have much time, but Eva would tell you that one of the markets where a crèche had been set up, last time we visited, it was actually a storage for watermelons. Because again, looking at the room is upstairs and the women sell their wares downstairs. So that movement also, and who would watch over the kid and the wares outside. I mean, those are things that we must consider. So Kate, it's your turn so that we conclude on your side, then we go to the other team. Any thoughts? Catherine?
Yes, Crispin, thank you so much for the great comments and discussions. I just want to add my voice on the Amendment Act of 2021, Employment Amendment Act, and thank you, Dr. Joyce, together with Paul Kuria, on the comments that you made. I just want to add that still the gaps that we have highlighted, in addition to Convention 190, Convention 183 is not yet ratified, and again, this was one of the amendment areas, and we have seen from the new act that maternity leave still remains at 90 days. And so we are happy that the National Gender Equality Commission has taken up the role of ensuring that these two conventions are ratified. Again, the aspect of the sexual harassment policy, the threshold of 20, a minimum of 20 employees and above to have a sexual harassment policy remains the same as the previous provision that had been in the Employment Act 2007. Again, this is a key area that we as a We Corp can be able to begin to work with the other advocacy groups so that then in the upcoming amendments, then we see that this is addressed, because then sexual harassment still takes place even where employees are below 20, so to speak. When you look at the micro enterprises below 20 employees, and still there are places where sexual harassment takes place. So then this is a key amendment area that needs to go forward in the future legal reforms that we look at. Lastly, I also want to comment on Jen's comment from the chat. Thank you for that comment. We did have the Best Breastfeeding Mothers Bill 2019. It has not yet been enacted unless there's new information as at now, but then it had a provision that there would be allocation for breastfeeding spaces, as we have just been discussing, and Fred has mentioned that these spaces need to work and not just be for storage of things like watermelons and so forth. They need to be work. They need to work. They also need to be male friendly so that the fathers can also engage. And so therefore there is hope and room for us to continue to advocate for this particular breastfeeding mothers bill. Also, this came up from our group. We do have the upcoming conference, international conference on WE, in July this year, led by Kenyatta University. And I think, Crispin, this is something then that you can mention also at the end so that members can continue to engage. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kate, for highlighting all those key areas that we need to focus on as organizations or research institutions and the public sector interested in advancing the women's economic empowerment cause in this country. So we go back to Isabel and Amelia. Any final thoughts on the presentation so far, the comments that have been made, the way forward, and the other areas of concerns? I know there are many other questions that are still pending, but at least take it from there.
Thank you, Crispin. So I just wanted to add that I wanted to thank everyone for the very active participation and the interest, and for all the questions and comments. And we're glad to see that this note on legal reforms steered this interesting conversation, and we look forward to seeing more reforms happening, especially as one was mentioned already in the areas of workplace protections, sexual harassment, especially enforcement procedures and policies, and the same in the area of domestic violence. I think something that should also be taken into account that can be very interesting is public policies that address also shifting social and cultural norms. And then finally, something that we briefly mentioned in the note, but I think that it's important to highlight, is the difference that still exists in inheritance rights among spouses, in particular in the Law on Succession Act. And then one last thing is that for the future, we're planning to organize some CSO engagement activities and perhaps also a peer-to-peer learning event. So we will for sure be in touch with you, and hopefully also with all the participants, to see how everyone can also be involved in this, how we can continue disseminating our data and the information contained in these case studies that we've done not only for Kenya, but also for other countries in Sub-Saharan Africa. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Even as we go to Amelia, Amelia's shared a form there. Kindly, there's a link. Please click it and quickly help us to know how the sessions was, and of course what we can be able to improve moving forward. So Amelia, your last thoughts?
I think everything has been shared already by Frederick, Kate, and Isabel. I just want to thank you, Crispin and Eric and Sarah, for giving us this opportunity to present our data, our research, and I want to thank all the participants who engaged in the session by providing us input, feedback, insights, comments, and ideas for future research.
Thank you so much. In conclusion, then, one other thing I would want to say is that we've all now realized, or at least we know, that discriminatory laws not only threaten women's economic security, but also the economic security of countries at large, and of course, having Kenya in perspective. Number two, we've also realized that the data that has just been provided highlights opportunities for reform, especially in what we've just talked about, the C-190 ILO convention, that is, we are yet to enact in the country. We just need to do that so that our economy can also be able to emphasize on such kind of policy actions, so that then we're able to improve the economic opportunities for women. And lastly, the data that has just been provided by the Women Business and Law report continues to build on the evidence. Remember, this is the 8th time or the 8th year when this is coming out in a row. So we can be able really to check through what has happened or what has improved or what has just stuck and what are the reasons. So the data here is helping us to build the evidence that would help us to reform as we move forward towards the journey on gender equality, and also, which is very critical in looking into issues of women's employment and entrepreneurship. And as it's been said by, I think, Janet, in one of the texts there, is that yes, some companies are offering women just 1 month or 3 months contract, so that there is no room even for leave. And so those are issues that definitely are coming up every other day. When we think we are scoring, there's another impediment. So I want to thank you all for your participation. Let's keep chatting, let's keep communicating. And if you need this information, the links have been shared, and just check on the World Bank sites. The website, you'll be able to find these reports. And in Kenya, if you're in Kenya, Kate and Frederick are here. They are both in under MENCAN, that is Men Engage Network. Also, it's reach out to them. Thank you so much, everyone that has participated, and all the members of the WICOP for your time, and everyone that has even made a presentation. We will be able to share this once it's edited, so that you can have the link on YouTube. Otherwise, from me and from the rest of the team, Nero. Yes.
Yeah. There's that announcement by Kenyatta University about the conference. Yes, if we could get opportunities to share some of the work that we are doing through that conference. Sarah did share out an email that has a link to the conference with more information. Just highlighting that. Thank you very much.
And actually, papers and abstracts for the upcoming conference, the links are there, and we'll continue sharing. Thank you so much. We are 2 minutes past time. We need to end it there. See you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.